After about 50 hours in Pokopia, I decided it was time to start decorating, and I thought, you know what? I've played Minecraft, I've played Animal Crossing, I've done quite a bit of decorating in my time. This should be a walk in the park, but boy, I was wrong. I wanted to do a nice little speed build of my first home, but frankly, it took me way too many hours to build this. So I'm going to share with you a nice little tour of this and also everything I learnt along the way with a few clips so you don't make the same mistakes I did. Hopefully, it will prepare you for when it comes to decorating too. Don't forget to like and also subscribe, but let's get into this. Okay, so here is the house. I need to do a little bit more work on the terraforming and kind of the garden area. I am also going to move this little crafting area that I have got set up here. But for now, this is kind of what we are looking like. There is this path that I did yesterday. It's kind of overgrown, but it's still got yellow. I didn't want it to be too kind of formal because I don't think the house is that formal. I want it to feel quite like laid back and kind of sunshiny. And then we do have like a little pond which has some nice little elements, a tiny little baby waterfall in it as well. But yeah, I've tried to stick with the yellow and the white theme here, and I did actually the robust flowers, sink them in the water. They look a little bit like weeds, which I thought was really cute, like kind of reeds or weeds kind of poking up through. It's just something different, something else you can add to the pond as well. So the house itself, as you can see, it's got kind of a two-story side and then a flat roof on the other side. So the flat roof area is where my main porch is. So we have this nice open area here. The rest of the house is not this open. It is a tight squeeze, which is going to be one of my things that I wish I had kind of thought about when I started building this house, but I will come back to that later. This is just like the tall portion. So I really knew that I wanted to go with yellow, so there's a few ways I've got yellow in. We've got like the awnings, obviously some furniture, but also these bricks from the Skylands as well. I wanted to incorporate them, and then obviously we've got flowers and bushes. Did I go a little bit over the top with the flowers and bushes? Maybe, but who says you can't have lots of flowers and bushes? And then the other area, which kind of the outside and added details in, was with these little room dividers. I think there are a few different ways you can do shutters in the game, but I like the height of these room dividers with the kind of the special windows here. I can't remember what they're called. The white windows, they're gorgeous though, and they're kind of 2 stories. They're 2 blocks high, I should say, so they kind of work nicely there. And then I'm just going to walk you all the way around the outside because some of the different elements I couldn't quite translate through the back, so I managed to get some shutter dividers here and with the awnings and the bushes, but then around the back we kind of had to do something a little bit different, so it doesn't quite look that way. Something I would have thought about more when it came to it is actually thinking about like how it looks on the outside with the kind of block situation, because maybe I should have raised it up and done a block running along the back here, and then had the planks on top. Perhaps that would have worked better, but sometimes the blocks just don't want to interact with one another, which is a bit of a shame. I did manage to get the shutters. This is pretty much a little bit of like a duplicate of what's on the outside. And then here we have kind of a big open wall. Again, I wish there was a way I could have added some more details in. I probably will maybe in the future come back to it and try add in a few more things, but I think like the little vines and stuff were working quite well. Unfortunately, I couldn't put the awnings up the top just because of the roof, but hey, it worked okay. I will show you up top. I think this might be the best way to show it off, so we're just going to rise up. And so we have the roof here. The roof wasn't anything too special, but I did add in these kind of beams here just to give it a little bit of detail. Perhaps I could have come out a bit more just to give it some depth, which is something that I always worry about when I'm building with kind of blocks and stuff, is how much depth you're going to get and kind of different aspects of it, because I don't want it to look flat. That's my biggest kind of thing that I hate about building with blocks and things, is when things look flat. I want there to be some dimension to it. I want there to be interest. So that was kind of one way that I did it with the roof. And then this area I really like. So this is, I made use of the porch kind of roof and designed this into like a little kind of living open space. So as you can see, there's still some shutters down there as well with the awning, which I just replicated. And then this rug, I don't know where I found it. Maybe it was from Vespequen, but it was perfect, absolutely perfect. And then we've just got a nice little seating area. And then back here, there's kind of a little lounge area as well. Another thing that I didn't really think about was how the walls kind of come up. So this is the floor that I used throughout. Maybe I should have kind of put that as white, but I don't mind the difference, but it's just something to consider if you are thinking about doing a rooftop, is how kind of like the flooring will poke through if you aren't smart enough to think of a way to avoid that. So just bear that in mind as well. So I'm going to undo the transformation and show you what it's like inside now. It is very tight in here, so I haven't really done a lock, which is kind of a huge thing about kind of you need more space than it appears. So here was me thinking, oh, this is going to be like a great size house. It probably could have been a lot bigger from the outside. I mainly wanted it to look cute from the outside, not necessarily from the inside as well. That being said, there is still kind of like functional space. There's enough room in here to kind of get people to be happy with the area, but currently I have 9 tails living in here, so it is a bit of a squeeze for them. However, I did do a kitchen, so this is kind of where I come if I want to cook and kind of make some stuff. It's all set up here, just because I don't have really anywhere else to put it right now, so I was quite happy to kind of get this all in. And yes, I have my washing machine in the center here. I need to hook up some electricity, but yeah, that's how it's working for now. So yeah, that is the house. It's not anything super grand. I know people are doing crazy things, but for a first house, I was pretty happy with it. I'm definitely, now I've got the Magnemite skills, I'm definitely going to try and do some more houses and maybe kind of like do some beginner homes so that people feel like they can really kind of start. But there are a few things I have learned from doing this, so I'm going to share them with you now. These are more kind of specific tips and tricks if you are just kind of starting to decorate, you're wanting to decorate your own home for the first time. Hopefully these next few things will help you out. So the first thing I want to talk about is building without the magnet rise skill. That is something that comes later in the game, and I built this house without it. And I just want everyone to know you can, it is possible. There are ways, there are means to do it. Having other abilities like the fly does help for you to get kind of vantage points and then fly across, and then you can access the roofs and stuff. Alternatively, you can use ladders to get up high. You can use like fake platforms or platforms that you put down just temporarily before you can kind of start building. It is harder and it will be hard to get to grips with in the beginning, but it is possible. If you decide, no, I'm going to wait until I have that ability to really start decorating, you will not regret it, because now that I have had it after this kind of build, I am very grateful for it, and I think it's a great addition to the game, because otherwise, if it was just going to be full-time decorating without that skill, I think it would be a lot harder. So there's my little PSA. It is possible to decorate without the magnet rise. Do I think it's easier to decorate with it? Of course I do, but it is possible if you're kind of taking it slow with the story and you still want to do a little bit of decorating. So when it comes to actually decorating and kind of getting to grips with things, the first thing I'm going to say is actually think about the placement of your house. This is something that probably shouldn't annoy me as much as it does, but if I could rewind that time, I would have probably placed my house at a different angle. I play most of my game time during the afternoon, evening time, and when this happens, the sun is directly behind my house, meaning it is kind of in shadow for most of the day, and that means that the house looks a little bit duller for the large portion of the day. I wanted to do something bright and vibrant, so that kind of sucks that everything is like a little bit darker. But hey, maybe that might work for you, but just bear that in mind if you are thinking about it. Just see where the sun and the shadow is going to be for most of the time. Another thing to think about before you start building is also consider what blocks you're actually building on. So I created this raised patio area using the bridge walkways. However, you can kind of see through the bottom of it, and there's kind of a mixture of grass and soil. I really wish I had either kind of laid a path below or at least had it all green. In the grand scheme of things, this probably isn't going to be obvious to most people, but if you are someone that pays extra close attention to detail, things like this may annoy you. So think about that before you start building. The next step I would say is quite important is coming up with a bit of a floor plan, or at least an idea of how big, how wide you want your house to be, what kind of shape you want it to be. When I went into this, I at least had a rough idea with the shape of the house, which was actually really helpful because all you do is kind of lay out the plan of the house and then you just fill in the blank spots from there. So it's kind of like a fill by numbers, but with blocks. As I mentioned in the tour, another thing that I really regret is not considering my interior sizes when I was planning out this house. So if you're going to plot out your house, also maybe plot out the interior size first and think, oh, I'm happy with this size, and then kind of build out from there. Think about different blocks for your walls, and then you might want pillars on top of that as well for the outside space. So consider that if you're going to want it big, if you're going to want some big Pokemon in there, you want lots of space, just be mindful of it. I think I was kind of stuck in that Instagram kind of head where you're like, I just want it to look cute from the outside and not actually think about how kind of functional it is. So next time I build a house, I'm definitely going to factor that in. If you are a beginner and thinking about building for the first time, consider your resources and also paint, especially if you are thinking about adding color. For me, there is nothing more frustrating than when it comes to decorating and you're halfway through building, you're in that rhythm, and then you realize you've run out of something. So then you have to break away, go find more resources. And paint is even more annoying to come by, as you obviously have to wait for the Pokemon to actually crush them before you get the opportunity to buy it. So really factor that in as well. I like to hoard in games like this. Perhaps that's why I've not been so kind of quick on the decorating, is because I like to hoard resources so I know I've got them there before I actually start decorating. I really had to trust the process with the decorating. It's been a while since I played like Minecraft or decorated in this way. So even if you are feeling a bit like this isn't going to look good, this does not look good, just roll with it. Once you have your basic structure in place, that's when you can come back and add those extra details. You can add those details to the windows. You can add details to the roof. You can do all of that sort of stuff later. And that's something that I kind of really had to remember, because even though the structure wasn't looking amazing, I wasn't all that happy with it as I was building. But when you come back through to it and you add those smaller things, that for me is what always kind of helps elevate our build. So bear that in mind if you are decorating and thinking this is looking rubbish. Just come back in and go around with those details. I am going to start working on like a bumper decorating tips and tricks video, but for now I just wanted to kind of give you a little bit of encouragement and share some mistakes that I made when it came to decorating. So I hope this helped, and I hope you enjoyed looking at the tour. I hope it helped inspire you. Let me know what you've been decorating, what you've been building in the game in the comments. Have a great rest of your day. Bye bye.